Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the Haven, Hythe, Kent, southeast coast of England, where I can look out the window and in the distance see the English Channel. Peaceful place. Not so peaceful in Washington, D.C. right now. And the Kali Yuga marches on, and we keep on reading the Caitanya-caritämrta and staying out of the fray. This is what it means to become equipoised according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever's going on in the world, just keep remembering him. Manmana mabavad bhakto majjaji mam namaskuru. And you will come back to Krishna without a doubt. And with that knowledge, one can be blissful at all costs, in any place, any time, any circumstance. Because we are not this body, and we are not this mind. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left us this beautiful, poetic glorification of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, which I read every day. Never get tired of it. It's so beautiful. He said, in due course, Mahāprabhu, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage. Because after the flood has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, we reached the 6th chapter of the Antya-līlā, and hearing the glories of Raghunātha Gosvāmī and his meeting with Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, and we're working up to it. We're beginning with text 102. Lord Nityananda has met Raghunātha Gosvāmī, or Raghunātha Gosvāmī has met Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda punished him for not coming close to him by making him sponsor a Chidari feast. Chipped rice mixed with yogurt and condensed milk and bananas and all kinds of grease, and it ended up being a huge festival. The whole area got caught up in it. So now Lord Nityananda has brought Lord Chaitanya there. Text 102. Lord Nityananda Prabhu first influenced all the devotees to dance, and finally he himself began dancing, thus inundating the entire world in ecstatic love. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was observing the dancing of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu could see this, but the others could not. The dancing of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, like the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, cannot be compared to anything within these three worlds. 105. No one can properly describe the sweetness of Lord Nityananda's dancing. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu personally comes to see it. 106. After the dancing, and after Lord Nityananda had rested, Raghava Pandit submitted his request that the Lord take supper. Text 107. Lord Nityananda Prabhu sat down for supper with his personal associates and made a sitting place high on his right side for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. 108. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came there and sat down at his place. Seeing this, Raghava Pandit felt increasing happiness. 109. Raghava Pandit brought the prasadam before the two brothers and thereafter distributed prasadam to all the other Vaishnavas. So Lord Chaitanya has gone to Raghava Pandit's house, and now these are two of the 3 or 4 places that he would go. Raghava Pandit's place for prasadam, and Lord Nityananda, wherever he danced. Raghava Pandit brought the prasadam before the two brothers, and thereafter distributed prasadam to all the other Vaishnavas. There were varieties of cakes, sweet rice, and fine cooked rice that surpassed the taste of nectar. There were also varieties of vegetables. 111. The food prepared and offered to the deity by Raghava Pandit was like the essence of nectar. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came there again and again to eat such prasadam. Text 112. When Raghava Pandit offered the food to the deity after cooking, he would make a separate offering for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. 113. Every day, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would eat at the house of Raghava Pandit. Sometimes he would give Raghava Pandit the opportunity to see him. 114. Raghava Pandit would bring and distribute prasadam to the two brothers, feeding them with great attention. They ate everything, and therefore there were no remnants left. 115. He brought so many presentations that no one could know them perfectly. Indeed, it was a fact that the Supreme Mother Radharani personally cooked in the house of Raghava Pandit. 116. Srimati Radharani received from Durvasa Muni the benediction that whatever she cooked would be sweeter than nectar. That is the special feature of her cooking. 117. Aromatic and pleasing to see, the food was the essence of all sweetness. Thus the two brothers, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, ate it with great satisfaction. 118. All the devotees present requested Raghava Pandit to sit down and take prasadam. But Raghava Pandit told them, he will take prasadam later. All the devotees took prasadam, filling themselves to the brim. Thereafter, chanting the holy name of Hari, they stood up and washed their hands and mouths. After eating, the two brothers washed their hands and mouths. Then Raghava Pandit brought flower garlands and sandalwood pulp and decorated them. 121. Raghava Pandit offered them betel nuts and worshipped their lotus feet. He also distributed betel nuts, flower garlands, and sandalwood pulp to the devotees. 122. Raghava Pandit, being very merciful toward Raghunātha Das, offered him the dishes with the remnants of food left by the two brothers. Text 123. He said, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu has eaten this food. If you take his remnants, you will be released from the bondage of your family. 124. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always resides either in the heart or in the home of a devotee. This fact is sometimes hidden and sometimes manifest. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully independent. 125. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-pervasive, and therefore He resides everywhere. Anyone who doubts this will be annihilated. 126. In the morning after taking his bath in the Ganges, Nityananda Prabhu sat down with his associates beneath the same tree under which he had previously sat. 127. Raghava Pandit went there and worshipped Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Through Raghava Pandit, he submitted his desire. 128. I am the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Text 129. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. 130. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound. 131. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain shelter at his lotus feet. 132. Although I am unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, I nevertheless request you, Sir, to be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 133. Placing your feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu without difficulty. I pray for this benediction. After hearing this appeal by Raghunātha Das, Lord Nityananda Prabhu smiled and told all the devotees, Raghunātha Das's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heaven. Because of the mercy bestowed upon him by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunātha Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. Therefore, let every one of you be merciful toward him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. 136. One who experiences the fragrance of the lotus feet of Krishna does not value even the standard of happiness available in Brahmaloka, the topmost planet. And what to speak of heavenly happiness? 137. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is offered sublime, poetic prayers by those trying to attain his favor. Thus he is known as Uttama Shloka. Being very eager to gain the association of Lord Krishna, King Bharat, although in the prime of youth, gave up his very attractive wife, affectionate children, most beloved friends, an opulent kingdom, exactly as one gives up stool after excreting it. Purport. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 5:14-43. 138. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunātha Das near him, placed his lotus feet upon Raghunātha Das's head, and began to speak. 139. My dear Raghunātha Das, he said, since you arranged the feast on the bank of the Ganges, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came here just to show you his mercy. 140. By his causeless mercy, he ate the chipped rice and milk. Then, after seeing the dancing of the devotees at night, he took his supper. 141. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Hari, came here personally to deliver you. Now rest assured that all the impediments meant for your bondage are gone. 142. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Sarup Damodar. You will thus become one of the most confidential, internal servants and will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. 143. Being assured of all this, return to your home. Very soon, without impediments, you will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 144. Lord Nityananda had Raghunātha Das blessed by all the devotees, and Raghunātha Das offered his respects to their lotus feet. After taking leave of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and then all the other Vaishnavas, Sri Raghunātha Das consulted secretly with Raghava Pandit. 146. After consulting with Raghava Pandit, he secretly delivered 100 gold coins and about 7 tolas of gold into the hand of Nityananda Prabhu's treasurer. 147. Raghunātha Das admonished the treasurer, do not speak about this to Lord Nityananda Prabhu now, but when he returns home, kindly inform him about this presentation. 148. Thereupon Raghava Pandit took Raghunātha Das to his home. After inducing him to see the deity, he gave Raghunātha Das a garland and sandalwood pulp. 149. He gave Raghunātha Das a large quantity of prasadam to eat on his way home. Then Raghunātha Das again spoke to Raghava Pandit. Text 150. I want to give money, he said, just to worship the lotus feet of all the great devotees, servants and subservants of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. 151. As you think fit, give 20, 15, 12, 10, or 5 coins to each one of them. Text 152. Raghunātha Das drew up an account of the amount to be given and submitted it to Raghava Pandit, who then made up a list showing how much money was to be paid to each and every devotee. 153. With great humility, Raghunātha Das placed 100 gold coins and about 2 tolas of gold before Raghava Pandit for all the other devotees. 154. After taking dust from the feet of Raghava Pandit, Raghunātha Das returned to his home, feeling greatly obligated to Lord Nityananda Prabhu because of having received his merciful benediction. 155. From that day on, he did not go into the interior section of the house. Instead, he would sleep on the Durga Mandap, the place where Mother Durga was worshipped. 156. There, however, the watchmen alertly kept guard. Raghunātha Das was thinking of various means by which to escape their vigilance. 157. At that time, all the devotees of Bengal were going to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunātha Das could not accompany them, for they were so famous that he would have been caught immediately. Thus Raghunātha Das thought deeply how to escape, and one night, while he was sleeping on the Durga Mandap, the priest Yadunandana Acharya entered the house when only 4 dandas remained until the end of the night. 161. Yadunandana Acharya was the priest and spiritual master of Raghunātha Das. Although born in a Brahmana family, he had accepted the mercy of Vasudeva Datta. 162. Yadunandana Acharya had been officially initiated by Advaita Acharya. Thus he considered Lord Chaitanya, his life and soul. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that although the atheists who have deviated from the order of Sri Advaita Acharya introduce themselves as followers of Advaita Acharya, they do not accept Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yadunandana Acharya, one of the most confidential followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was the initiated disciple of Advaita Acharya. He was not polluted by sentimental distinctions, classifying Vaishnavas according to birth. Therefore, although Vasudeva Datta had not been born in a Brahmana family, Yadunandana Acharya also accepted him as his spiritual master. (163) When Yadunandana Acharya entered the house of Raghunātha Das and stood in the courtyard, Raghunātha Das went there and fell down to offer his obeisances. One of Yadunandana Acharya's disciples had been worshipping the deity, but had left that service. Yadunandana Acharya wanted Raghunātha Das to induce the disciple to take up that service again. 165. Yadunandana Acharya requested Raghunātha Das, please induce the Brahmana to resume the service, for there is no other Brahmana to do it. 166. After saying this, Yadunandana Acharya took Raghunātha Das with him and went out. By that time all the watchmen were deeply asleep because it was the end of night. 167. East of the house of Raghunātha Das was the house of Yadunandana Acharya. Yadunandana Acharya and Raghunātha Das talked together as they went toward that house. 168. Halfway along the path, Raghunātha Das submitted at the lotus feet of his spiritual master. I shall go to the home of that Brahmana, induce him to return, and send him to your home. 169. You may go home without anxiety. Following your order, I shall persuade the Brahmana. On this plea, after asking permission, Raghunātha Das decided to go away. 170. Raghunātha Das thought, this is the greatest opportunity to go away, because this time there are no servants or watchmen with me. 171. Thinking in this way, he quickly proceeded toward the east. Sometimes he turned around and looked back, but no one was following him. 172. Thinking of the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he left the general path and proceeded with great haste on the one not generally used. 173. Giving up the general path from village to village, he passed through the jungles, thinking with heart and soul about the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He walked about 30 miles in one day, and in the evening he took rest in the cowshed of a milkman. 175. When the milkman saw that Raghunātha Das was fasting, he gave him some milk. Raghunātha Das drank the milk and lay down to rest there for the night. At the house of Raghunātha Das, the servant and watchman, not seeing him there, immediately went to inquire about him from his spiritual master, Yadunandana Acharya. Yadunandana Acharya said, he has already asked my permission and returned home. Thus there arose a tumultuous sound as everyone cried, now Raghunātha has gone away. Haribo. Raghunātha Gosvāmī ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. The mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. 178. Raghunātha Dasa's father said, "Now all the devotees from Bengal have gone to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunātha Das has fled with them. 10 men should immediately go catch him and bring him back." Poor Raghunātha Das. Raghunātha Dasa's father wrote a letter to Shivananda Sen, asking him with great humility, "Please return my son." 181. In Jankara, the 10 men caught up with the group of Vaishnavas going to Nilachala. After delivering the letter, the man inquired from Shivananda Sen about Raghunātha Das, but Shivananda Sen replied, "He did not come here." 183. The 10 men returned home, and Raghunātha Das's father and mother were filled with anxiety. 184. Raghunātha Das, who had been resting at the milkman's house, got up early in the morning. Instead of going to the east, he turned his face south and proceeded. 185. He crossed Chetrabhoga, but instead of going on the general path, he proceeded on the path that went from village to village. Purport. Chetrabhoga, now known as Chadakadi, is in the district of 24 Parganas in West Bengal. It is situated near the celebrated village Jayanagara, Majilapur. Formerly the Ganges, or some of its branches, flowed through this region. Sometimes Chetrabhoga is misunderstood to have been a village on the river of Kansai Nadi in Benapur. Purport. Chetrabhoga, now known as Chadikadi, is in the district of 24 Parganas in West Bengal. It is situated near the celebrated village Jayanagara, Majilapur. Formerly the Ganges, or some of its branches, flowed through this region. Oh, I already read this, actually. Sometimes Chetrabhoga is misunderstood to have been a village on the river Kansai Nadi in Benapur. 186. Not caring about eating, he traveled all day. Hunger was not an impediment, for his mind was concentrated upon obtaining shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 187. Sometimes he chewed fried grains, sometimes he cooked, and sometimes he drank milk. In this way he kept his life and soul together with whatever was available wherever he went. 188. He reached Jagannath Puri in 12 days, but could eat for only 3 days on the way. 189. When Raghunātha Das met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord was sitting with his companions, headed by Swarup Damodar. 190. Staying in a distant place in the courtyard, he fell down to offer obeisances. Then Mukunda Datta said, "Here is Raghunātha." As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these words, he immediately welcomed Raghunātha Das. "Come here," he said. Raghunātha Das then clasped the lotus feet of the Lord, but the Lord stood up and embraced him out of his causeless mercy. 192. Raghunātha Das offered prayers to the lotus feet of all the devotees, headed by Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī. Seeing the special mercy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had bestowed upon Raghunātha Das, they embraced him also. 193. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "The mercy of Lord Krishna is stronger than anything else. Therefore the Lord has delivered you from the ditch of materialistic life, which is like a hole into which people pass stool." Purport. According to the law of karma, everyone is destined to suffer or enjoy according to a certain material standard. but by the mercy of Lord Krishna. But the mercy of Lord Krishna is so powerful that the Lord can change all the reactions of one's past karma or fruitive activities. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu specifically drew attention to the mercy of Lord Krishna. That mercy is more powerful than anything else, for it has saved Raghunātha from the strong bondage of materialistic life, which the Lord compared to a hole where people pass stool. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu gave his verdict that those addicted to the materialistic way of life are like worms that are living in stool but cannot give it up. A griha-vrata, one who has decided to live in a comfortable home, although it is actually miserable, is in a condemned position. Only the mercy of Krishna can save one from such misery. Without Krishna's mercy, one cannot get out of the filthy entanglement of materialistic life. The poor living entity cannot give up his materialistic position on his own. Only when granted the special mercy of Krishna can he give it up. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu knew very well that Raghunātha was already liberated. Nevertheless, he emphasized that Raghunātha's life of material comfort as a very rich man's son with a very beautiful wife and many servants to attend him was like a ditch of stool. The Lord then specifically indicated that ordinary men who were very happy with material comforts and family life are in no better position than worms in stool. Hare Krishna. 194. Raghunātha answered within his mind, I do not know who Krishna is. I simply know that your mercy, O my Lord, has saved me from my family life. 195. The Lord continued, your father and his elder brother are both related as brothers to my grandfather, Nilambar Chakravarti. Therefore I consider them my grandfathers. Purport. Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, was very intimately related to Raghunātha's father and uncle. Nilambar Chakravarti used to call them his younger brothers because both of them were very much devoted to the Brahmanas and were very respectable gentlemen. Similarly, they used to call him Dada Chakravarti, addressing him as an elder brother Brahmana. Raghunātha, however, was almost the same age as Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Generally, a grandchild may joke about his grandfather. Therefore, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu took advantage of the relationship between his grandfather and Raghunātha's father and uncle to speak in a joking way. 196. Since your father and his elder brother are younger brothers of Nilambar Chakravarti, I may joke about them in this way. 197. My dear Raghunātha, your father and his elder brother are just like worms in stool in the ditch of material enjoyment. For the great disease of the poison of material enjoyment is what they consider happiness. Purport. When a man is attached to material enjoyment, he is attached to many miserable conditions, but nevertheless, he accepts his condemned position as one of happiness. Sense enjoyment is so strong for such a person that he cannot give it up, exactly as a worm in stool cannot give up the stool. From the spiritual point of view, When a person is too absorbed in material enjoyment, he is exactly like a worm in stool. Although such a position is utterly miserable to the eyes of liberated souls, the materialistic enjoyer is greatly attached to it. Text 198. Although your father and uncle are charitable to Brahmanas and greatly help them, they are nevertheless not pure Vaishnavas. However, they are almost like Vaishnavas. Purport. As stated by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha, some people, usually very rich men, dress like Vaishnavas and give charity to Brahmanas. They are also attached to deity worship, but because of their attachment to material enjoyment, they cannot be pure Vaishnavas. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakarmadhyanavritam. The pure Vaishnava has no desire for material enjoyment. That is the basic qualification of a pure Vaishnava. There are men, especially rich men, who regularly worship the deity, give charity to Brahmanas, and are pious in every respect, but they cannot be pure Vaishnavas. Despite their outward show of Vaishnavism and charity, their inner desire is to enjoy a higher standard of material life. Raghunātha Das's father, Govardhan, and uncle, Hiranyadas, were both very charitable to Brahmanas. Indeed, the Brahmanas from the Gaudiya district were practically dependent upon them. Thus they were accepted as very pious gentlemen. However, they presented themselves as Vaishnavas to the eyes of people in general. Although from a purely spiritual point of view, they were ordinary human beings, not pure Vaishnavas. Actual Vaishnavas considered them almost Vaishnavas, not pure Vaishnavas. In other words, they were Kanishta Adhikaris, for they were ignorant of higher Vaishnava regulative principles. Nevertheless, they could not be called Vishayis or blind materialistic enjoyers. Text 199. Those who are attached to materialistic life and are blind to spiritual life must act in such a way that they are bound to repeated birth and death by the actions and reactions of their activities. Purport. As clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yagyarthat karmano yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If one does not act as a pure devotee, whatever acts he performs will produce reactions of fruitive bondage, karma bandhana. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4, it is said, Nunam pramatak kurute vikarma, yadindriya pritaya aprinoti, nasadu manye yata atmano yam, asan apiklesha ta asa deha. A materialistic person, madly engaged in activities for sense enjoyment, does not know that he is entangling himself in repeated birth and death, and that his body, although temporary, is full of miseries. A Vishayi, a person blindly caught in a web of materialistic life, remains in the cycle of birth and death perpetually. Such a person cannot understand how to execute pure devotional service, and therefore he acts as a karmi, jnani, yogi, or something else, according to his desire. But he does not know that the activities of karma, jnana, and yoga simply bind one to the cycle of birth and death. By his own free will, Lord Krishna has delivered you from such condemned, materialistic life. Therefore the glories of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy cannot be expressed. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 554, it is said, Karmani nir dahati kintu chabhakti bhajan. Lord Krishna is so merciful that he can stop the reactions of karma for his devotee. Everyone, from the small insect called Indragopa to Indra, the king of heaven, is bound by the reactions of fruitive activities. Yas twindragopa atavendamaho swakarma bandhanurupa palabhajanam atanoti karmani nirdahati kintu chabhakti bhajam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Everyone, whether an insect or the king of heaven, is entangled and bound by the actions and reactions of his karma. However, when one becomes a pure devotee, free from material desires and from bondage to karma, jnana, and yoga, one is freed from material actions and reactions by the causeless mercy of Krishna. One cannot express sufficient gratitude to Krishna for being freed from the materialistic way of life. So we'll stop here. It's 8:01, and we'll continue this lovely discussion. Tomorrow. Okay, anybody has some reflections for us? Some comments, some discussion? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari says, Jai Guru Maharaj.
Hey Rati, Hare Krishna.
And Sudevi Dasi says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Another hour of sanity and escape from this increasingly insane world.
Oh yeah. It's going downhill fast. No doubt.
And here we have a question from Braj Balaba.
Hare Krishna, Braj.
He says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I am wondering how to understand the pastime yesterday where Lord Nitai and Lord Chaitanya were playfully exchanging chipped rice. What does this mean? How do we understand? I'm too foolish to understand the meaning.
How are we to understand it? It is pure transcendental love. You know, wherever Lord Nityananda dances, Lord Chaitanya goes there. And they enjoy each other's company like anything. It's pure and simple. I mean, we have some perverted reflection of that. Sometimes when we're in a party and joking, or there's some special event or something, one beloved person of another will put the food into the mouth of the other one, you know, and vice versa. We know that. We've seen it. And people who are actually very affectionate to one another, they relish those things. So Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they show the reality of those things. Their loving exchanges like that are pure, they are full of pure transcendental sweetness and mellows and humor and all these spiritual rasas. So that's why they did that. And that's why only very few people could see. Raghunātha Pandit could see. Hardly anyone else could see what was going on. They just looked like, to them, Nityananda was just going around and kind of like playing around. Because he was like that. He was funny, and he used to do funny things, make people laugh. So people thought, oh, this is just Lord Nityananda, doing his thing. This is the transcendental pleasure and beauty of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahāprabhu and Lord Nityananda. That's all. It's pastime. Pastime means it's something that you do without to do anything, just to play, just to do, because it makes you happy. Like little children. They'll get together, come over here, okay, you can be this and I can be that, and then we'll do this and then we'll do that. And they just play, and there's nothing that comes out of it, no profit, no, progress or anything like that. It's just, they're playing. That's what pastime means. There's no purpose to it. They're just for pure enjoyment. Well, the kids are not, it's not pure enjoyment, but it's just for enjoyment, for no other reason. Especially little kids, before they go to school. They don't have any homework to do. They just go and play. And the mothers and fathers take care of them and feed them and clothe them and make sure they're healthy. And the rest of the time they play. Hare Krishna.
Saloni Sachi Sundari.
Okay, Saloni Sachi Sundari. Hari Bol.
Says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the nectar of Caitanya-caritāmrta.
Yes, all glories to the nectar of Sri Caitanya-caritāmrta.
And there's a comment or a question from Rati Manjari.
Hare Krishna, Rati. Go on.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. The Lord, quote, the Lord thus specifically indicated that ordinary men who are very happy with material comforts and family life are in no better position than worms in stool, unquote. How should we understand such a statement as reflecting on our personal situation without becoming discouraged?
Rati, you chant Hare Krishna at every opportunity and bring other people with you, and therefore you're tasting transcendental happiness. That's all. Whatever you're going through is just like a fan that's winding down. It's unplugged, and now it's just winding down. Krishna will make all arrangements for you. Don't think that they're because you're just living with your son and doing your work that you do, your profession, that you are like that. You're not a materialist. That is a description of the life of materialistic persons. Materialistic persons don't have. That's why they were called Kanishtarikaris, Hiranya, the father and brother of Raghunātha, and brother and father and uncle, of Raghunātha Gosvāmī. They were called Kanishtarikaris because actually they were putting on a show of being a Vaishnava, but they were attached to material opulence, materialistic life, sensual pleasures. Therefore they were called almost Vaishnavas. not pure Vaishnavas. But persons who are attached to chanting Hare Krishna and doing the things that you do, they're not materialistic persons. That's how you should see it. It doesn't apply to you. Hare Krishna.
Rati says, thank you for laughing at me and blessing me.
I'm laughing with you. I'm not laughing at you.
It gives me such relief if you laugh at my worries.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
There's a question here from Bhakta Ben.
Haribo Bhakta Ben.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya, glories to Prabhupada.
It's a fact that I'm infected by this materialistic disease and still subtly want to drink the poison. My service post-marathon has been based on the computer, and I've been witnessing myself being sucked into hearing materialistic things on YouTube and want to stop desperately. How can I take the reins and take shelter of the great physician Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu in these moments of weakness?
Switch over to some bhajans or lecture or something on the YouTube that brings you Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Raj Balaba says, Maharaj, I like these readings because I can see your face light up during this Krishna Katha. It's enlivening, and thank you.
Thank you, Braja. Well, it beats storming the White House, that's a fact. So sad, so sad. Shri Krishna. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop the reading for tonight, 7th of January 2021. We're just launching into the new year, and this is the right way to do it. Every day. We do this every day, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees that we're attached to hearing and chanting about him, and he gives us his mercy. Hare Krishna. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topic. Transcendental bliss. Hare Krishna.